How can we answer?
How can we answer that?
Presumptuous.
But I'll tell you honestly, what we do is we put blinkers on, and we're least bothered what anyone else is doing, and we just focus on what we're doing. There's no time.
Correct. We have a lot to learn still. In fact,
yeah.
we are very young.
So and I realized one thing in the first film we made with Ram is that everybody is a pandit after the fact. Okay, nobody is dead sure before, and then if somebody is giving you advice, you'll say, "Acha, 1 second, let's see this person's track record," and their track record is not unblemished. It's not absolutely 100% perfect. So Ram and I decided over many whiskeys and many conversations late into the night that we'll make our own mistakes. Okay, if we screw up, we have screwed up. Put your hand up and own up to it. If we do well, please no one else take responsibility. We also did that ourselves, and that's the plain truth and nothing but. So there's nobody.
That for Sulu as well.
And for Sulu as well, you have to follow a gut and your own self-belief, and if that's the only piece of advice.
I think the gut is the operative word here.
Yeah.
And that's something which I've sort of learned over the years, across various assignments. That eventually you can try applying as much science as you want to apply humanly, but eventually this is a creative business. This is a business driven by passion. You have to follow your inner voice. You have to follow your instinct, and not every day is going to be a Sunday, right? You will have a bad Friday, and I think we're completely prepared for that. But you have to follow your inner voice. Even when we did Sulu, we knew that Sulu as a story was a beautiful story, but it was a wafer-thin story. It wasn't a very plot-heavy film. It was a film that was very, very thin on story, but very high on treatment, very high on feel-good value. Very high on a family connect. So we just followed our gut and did that film. So I think eventually, at some point, you need to sort of keep the baggage of market trends, etc., sort of out, and just sort of go with your hunch and say, this is the film I want to watch. This is the film that I think people will want to watch. And tomorrow, if I go wrong, then tough luck.
And if you have to be in a slightly anticipatory space, in Tumhari Sulu, the problem really that one is addressing is the modern urban marriage. And the modern urban marriage, chances are it's a dual income scenario. And the husband will come home and say, "Where's my dinner?" But she's worked as hard as you have. What do you mean, where's my dinner? So are you contributing to that process? And it's a discussion, it's a fight, it's a process that the evolution of the modern urban Indian marriage is going through. So would be an interesting take to address this, because we felt a lot of people to anticipate is something going to be relatable to a lot, and there are women in the room are smiling already. So I suppose we hit a chord. So.
But also the one thing I want to add, which I think is extremely crucial to all of us, is I think with the kind of directors we work with. I mean, we've had Ram, we've had Suresh, Shomik, who's only one film old, who only had Gulab Gang many years back. I don't think we necessarily, fall into the trap of going for a director who's done 20 films or a director who's done 10 films or 15 films. While that's great and that's a fabulous body of experience to have, but I think what's important is to be able to find tomorrow's big directors. What's important is to be a magnet for talent. What's important is to be able to pick up these new sparks from the world of advertising or from the family of associate directors who are currently assisting established directors, and sort of launching them. Because I think that also builds loyalty. That also gives the audience a whole lot of new talent, which is much needed. And then these directors, once they get established, sort of with their first film, end up getting offers, from all and sundry across the industry. So the one thing that we've never really sort of paid a lot of people tell us, "Oh, are you working with this director and that director?" That's really not important for us. I think it's important for us just to know that this director has great sensibilities. He can tell a story well. He has some body of work, be it in advertising, be it in making documentaries, be it in some sort of creative field, and that he's inherently hungry, lean, and passionate enough to want to tell a good story. I think if we're convinced about that as a team, we're quite happy for the person to be a director in one of our films. Whether or not he's done a film 5 years back, 10 years back, not directed a film for 20 years, that is really no criteria, to be honest.
Also, just to add, one thing that's super important to us in a directorial choice is also to make sure that those people have spent their Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours at their craft. and to really know their craft. And I really think, I mean this with no disrespect, but there's a lot of people who actually do not know the craft and the engineering of making a movie. Now, you know, if you're working with someone like Ram Advani, who for the last almost 30 years has been making ad films, he's probably forgotten more than most people will learn, okay, to use a phrase. So, in the making of Neerja, you're making a film with a star who did not have a track record of doing solo hits. It's at the end of the film, the girl dies. Everybody knows that when you're going into the theatre. So there's an audience, certain part of an audience that won't come. Yaar, depressed ho jaunga, main nahi aunga. You know, so that. Two is there's no love interest per se. There's no songs per se to promote, etc. And it's going to cost you 21 crores to make. Now, it turned out we didn't have 21 crores, first estimate. Hacked it down to 16. And told Ram, we have 16 days. I mean, we have 16 crores. That calculated to 32 days of shoot, including making an aircraft which was a 86 jumbo jet, 747, that had the 86 configuration, down to the last detail, that cost us 5 crores. I'd like to think that if there comes a time when people see that we produced a film, and that should be reason enough for them to go and consider watching the film. If we manage to do that, we'll have achieved something, you know. And I would think there would be 2 or 3 production houses in India that probably have that kind of reputation. And it should, in a dream scenario for me, and I'm sure I speak for everybody else, it should be irrelevant who the actor is, it should be irrelevant who the director is. Acha, inhone banai to, you know, shayad dhang ki hogi. So that should be the logic going in. If we can achieve that to whatever extent, I think we'd have done well.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having us.